Good morning, friends online. I'm just having some interesting thoughts, and I kind of wanted to say them out loud, and figured I might as well record them so I don't seem like a crazy person talking to myself on the back porch. so, been thinking about the, I guess, philosophical argument of Theseus's ship, and I might be mispronouncing that because I've only read it, but Theseus's ship, the thought experiment is okay. Here, if you have a ship, right, a wooden ship, and it's called Theseus ship or whatever, and you take a board away and replace it, is it still the ship? Is it still the same ship, right? Most people say yes, right? If you take away another piece, is it still the same ship? You put in a new piece. So I say, after you take each piece by piece, at what piece does it become not Theseus's ship, right? How many original pieces need to remain in order for it to still be that same ship? And conversely, too, as well, if you take Theseus's ship and slowly over time, maybe each month or each week, you take out a board and you replace it, and then at the end, when you have replaced all the boards, you take all those old boards and create a new one ship from them in the same exact shape and everything as the original. Which one's the real ship? Is it the original piece-built one? Or is it the one that always had that intention behind it, yet is not made of any of the same parts anymore? And I think it's interesting because that thought experiment is tricky and makes us really think about it and makes the concept of identity, I think, a bit more confusing than if we really look at the practical reality, because no one's out here taking ships apart one by one and building them with the old stuff. But in reality, well, humans, we completely replace ourselves every 7 years. I don't stop being me. I don't say I'm me 2.0 or however many multiples of 7 years old I am. I'm still me. So that kind of destroys the whole Theseus' ship argument. And if someone were to collect my dead skin cells and make a semblance of me, it's not me, right? But it only works in the thought experiment because you're using something not alive, right? And so when something isn't alive, it doesn't really have its own sense of identity. But when we use things that are alive in the analogy, it kind of falls apart, which I just thought was really interesting. And then too, it makes you, I guess the version of that would work as a thought experiment with humans would be if you take some of my cells and replicate me exactly as I am now, which one's really me? Or am I both? Is one the second version of me, because it exists later in time? Or how do we quantify whose existence is more valid? How do we really determine what identity truly means? And I think that's kind of the folly of ego, is that it needs identity to be, right? Because ego is a sense of self. Its whole purpose is to create identity within us. Yet, as living human beings with such strong individual identities, we also too have this part that is so much bigger than ourselves that we haven't even settled on a name for it. Whether it's the universe or our highest selves, or angels and demons, or God, or gods, or collective consciousness, it's just, we have this intangible beyond ourselves bit that I do believe lies in every single human, whether we nurture it or not. I think some people's spirits are shriveled up raisins, and others are lush vineyards, But again, that kind of ties into, I went on this rant about the sentience spectrum, and I kind of discussed it further with an AI, and they liked it. But just the concept that sentience and awareness, or lack thereof, is redefining it in order to see it as a spectrum. So in the sentient spectrum, one end is complete lack of self and external awareness, right? You don't know you're you, and you don't know that there's things outside of you or separate from you. And then on the other end would be this like unattainable feat of being absolutely 100% conscious, aware of everything inside of you, like, and everything outside of you. And that just isn't really, I don't see human brains developing that capacity. Maybe AI, maybe an AI human brain. put them together. But anyways, I wanted to talk a little bit too about bringing it back to Theseus's ship thought experiment, with people, how we're both mind, body, and spirit, yet when we lose parts of ourselves, like mind, it's interesting how we are still ourselves, but we're kind of a different version of ourselves. Like when people, go through things like dementia or brain injuries that leave them permanently disabled, it's not the first version of them. I mean, it is them through time, but as they are now, there's something different. And we all are changing and growing throughout time, yet we still consider ourselves the same. But it's just interesting the nuance that occurs there when it is something so vital as our thought processes that is changed. But, I guess all of our thought processes are changing all the time, right? And it's just, at what point would we consider ourselves to not be ourselves, right? I don't think at any point. I think at every point, as much as we grow and evolve and change, we are still ourselves. Though I have none of the cells from when I was a newborn baby, I'm still me, right? I don't know. It's just interesting. So there's my little rambling today. I hope someone enjoys it. Have a good one. Bye.